This video is brought to you by Professional Photographers of America. What is the best light for portraiture? Depending on who you ask, maybe they'll tell you it's a speed light. They are small enough to take with you anywhere. They run on cheap AA batteries, but they don't give you much in the way of light output, and the recycle times will make you want to pull your hair out. Because of those things, maybe they'll tell you to go with a studio strobe. These give you a lot more light output. They can run on batteries to use on location, or you can plug them into a wall outlet to get really fast recycle times. They are, however, in most cases, much more expensive compared to speed lights. They're oftentimes larger in size and can be a little complicated to use if you're starting out. Okay, so maybe they tell you to go with a constant LED. They're super easy to use since it's more of a what you see is what you get type of light. They can take a variety of light modifiers, but they often don't have enough light output. And when they do, well, the people being photographed might find the bright lights uncomfortable. The big problem with all of these, well, they cost money. But check this out. This is truly the best light for portraits, and best of all, it's free. In the next few moments, I'm going to share with you my results from a recent photo shoot using the available light that I have here at my studio. We'll go over the entire setup, including simple ways that you can get a perfect exposure every time. Welcome back to Breakdown. I'm Miguel Quiles, and today I am really excited to share this setup and the results that you can get using natural light. To demonstrate these techniques, I'll be joined by two fantastic models, Skyler and Katelyn, and makeup by Brianna. I'll have a link to their social media profiles in the description of this video, so afterwards, be sure to stop by and to give them a follow. To get things started, let's talk about the lighting setup that I'll be using. My new studio here in Orlando, Florida has roll-up doors that open up to reveal this wall of windows. They're slightly tinted to keep some of the UV lights out, but for the most part, they let in a lot of beautiful, even light. If you've watched my videos, you've probably heard me say many times that the bigger the light source is, the softer the light will be on your subject. In this setup, you'll be able to see just how beautiful that big, soft light can be. Here's the best part though. If you have a window or a garage nearby at your home, you'll be able to get great results like I'm about to show you. Now let's break down the light shaping accessories and backgrounds that I'm using. The first thing I want to show you are these sweet Manfrotto auto poles. I really love these mainly because of the smaller footprint that they take up compared to using a background stand. They extend anywhere from 6.8 feet all the way up to 12.1 feet tall. I'm going to do a separate video telling you all about these, but in the meantime, just know that these are awesome and that they're the ones that I'll be using to set up my background. In order to do that, I have to connect a super clamp and a hook so I can hang the background. Speaking of backgrounds, I'm using seamless paper made by Savage. I'll be using their fashion gray color as well as one called Blue Mist. They're both beautiful for close-up portraits like the ones that we're going to be doing in this video. Another handy accessory that I use is this rolling posing table. I believe this one is made by Photogenic, but there are many others out there that you can use that work in a similar way. They are great to give your subject a place to rest their elbows and get some nice tabletop poses. It's also a great spot to put a reflector, kind of like I did in this shoot. I use the white side of it, but if you need a little more fill, you can always flip it over to the silver side to get a bit more light into those shadows and to really get some beautiful catch lights in the eyes. Before we continue into how to get great exposures using this setup and the rest of the gear that I'm using to take those images, I want to take a moment to introduce you to the sponsor for today's video, Professional Photographers of America. I'm a member of PPA, and if you're looking to start and grow your photography business, you should consider joining too. For a low monthly price, you get $15,000 of equipment insurance, data loss recovery services, and access to over 1,100 educational videos from professionals in every category. You also get tons of small business resources like contracts, business plans, and so much more. Plus, when you join PPA, you get free access to Imaging USA your first year of membership, the world's largest photography convention and expo. Take a look at the link in the description and use the code for a special discount on your membership. Thanks again, PPA, for sponsoring this video and making it possible for me to bring helpful information to you guys at no charge here at YouTube University. Moving on, let's talk about the gear I'll be using. As I often do with my studio portrait work, I'm using the Sony A7R IV, and I'll be pairing it up with their 70-200 f2.8 G Master lens. If you're shooting portraits, you really can't beat the versatility that you get from a 70-200 lens. For some of the shots, I'll switch things up and I'll use the 135mm f1.8 G Master lens. It's one of my favorites to use lately, and it should give us some really great results here. There's a few things that you want to keep in mind when you're trying to get a nice exposure using natural light. First, you'll want to try your best to put your subject in shade at the edge of where the highlights meet the shadows. If you're wondering where that is, just look down at the ground and see the spot that's right there. See that? That's where you want to put your subject. Make sure that their face and body is in shade, and from there, you'll bring in reflectors if you need it to fill in shadows. Let's talk about exposure. I wanted to make sure that I get as much of the person's skin in focus while blurring the details like the hair and the ears to create this kind of 3D pop to the images. Knowing this, I wanted to shoot at f4 as opposed to shooting at f2.8, where more of the image would be blurry. If you want to learn more about aperture settings for portraits, check out my video, Shooting Wide Open versus Stopping Down, that I'll link in the description of this video. You could always use your camera's built-in light meter to get the right exposure, but I always find it handy to use a light meter to help dial in the right settings. I entered f4 as my desired aperture, and the meter says that I need to be at 1/125th shutter speed and an ISO value of 400. Because of the focal lengths that I'm using, I also want to make sure that my shutter speed is at least double the focal length of the lens that I'm using. This ensures that we get sharp images. I'll stick with that f4 aperture and the ISO 400 values, but I'll dial my shutter speed up a little higher based on the focal lengths that I'm using. Remember, you could always boost your exposure values in post-production programs like Capture One and Lightroom. Just make sure that you're not losing pixels by over or underexposing the image too much. Now let's check out the behind the scenes of this shoot and the resulting images. Capturing beautiful portraits using available light is pretty easy, and I'd invite you to try it out even if you don't have fancy studio space like this. All you need is a window and you can make some really great portraits. Let me know what you think of these images in the comments below, and for a chance to have your work featured in an upcoming video, leave me a link to your Instagram profile in the comments section. I'm going to start highlighting the work from my community in one of my next few videos. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you want to learn more about photography, check out the videos that you see here on the screen. Until next time, stay safe out there.